Hi everyone, hope you are doing wonderfully today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to mix drums using saturation. These are my Cakewalk Console Emulator, Tube Emulator, TG12345 has cassette emulator which has two channels in two places, whereby you can select channel 1 which has a warm and saturated tone. The other channel 2 has calm, cool and bright tone, which if you decide you can select both the channel 1 which is the warm one, or select the channel 1 and channel 2. These are the great tools which makes my mix sound real analog. The next plugin is PuilgChild Compressor. I so much love this because it has more of analog character. I love using these are the plugins I use 80 to 90% of my mix. Almost in every of my mix you find them. So these are the things I'm going to show you. More exciting things is when the producer sent the mix down to me, with the stem he sent a drum reference that for me to listen to the way the drum really sound or how it sound like. But I was able to transform the drum reference into my drum room to make my drum mix sound full, wide and more accurate, and I really love the analog feel. No wonder, maybe this is one of the reasons why most people do ask me and I should send them the photo of my studio, what kind of console do I use, things like that. Some of the times I just laugh. I don't use any console other than this. I mix strictly in the box, except if I'm doing the live setting. Before we move on, so I would love to play the drums for you. You will have the idea of how it sounds like. If you're new to this channel, please kindly subscribe and press the notification button. You'll be aware whenever I upload any great content like this. And if you enjoyed the video, thumb up for me. So let's go into the real business now. Listen to the drums the way it sounds like before we go into the mix. This is how it sounds like, because I also use a sample on the bass drum and the snare drum to make it sound real good to my taste and to make it sound more lively. So these are the things I do. Then I'll go into the mix now, starting from the channel EQ down to the plugins that I use. So listen to the bass drum once again. Now bypassed. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm cutting down 200 hertz up to 9 dB, and then I'm cutting 1.6k around 1.9. I'm cutting down 1.6k from the high mid and expanding the bell. So by doing this, I'm taking away some unwanted frequencies, some annoying resonance from my bass drum to make it sound good and sound nice to start a mix with. So then let's listen to TG12345. I'll turn it on. So listen to it without and with. Okay, I'll bypass it now. Bypassed. On back again. Let me tell you what I did on the TG12345. Starting from the input gain, I cut it down up to -4 dB. Then to not allow my signal to sound too aggressive and too compressed, that's what I did, because I applied the channel strip compressor. On the compressor, I'm using recovery 2. Then my compressor setting, it works like a sidechain. So I'm using up to 80% so that I can still have a true clean signal while the signal is still being compressed. On the EQ section, TG12345 has high shelf and the low shelf EQ. On the high shelf, I'm boosting up to 10k, Then on the low shelf, I'm boosting up to 4 dB to give it more body and notch on the high end. Then on the presence, I'm cutting down 800 Hz up to -6 dB. So this is the result for me. This is what it's doing. Cassette emulation on the output section. I'm using channel 1 and 2. This is the basic default setting. So the channel 1 has warm tone and the channel 2 has brighter tone, which the combination had more quality to my signal. Let's quickly listen to that and hear the difference, what it does. So you can listen to the difference of the two. So I love it the way it sounds, both the warm and the bright sound. So they combine together, add more transient into my signal to make it sound more quality and sound more analog for me. I love vintage tone and I so much love the way it sounds. Okay, so let's check this out. This is the kick without the compressor and with the compressor. So I'll basically explain to you what I did. From the input gain, I turn up the weight to 14. Then my threshold is 2. My time constant is 3. The reason why I have the time constant as 3 is I don't want much of a dynamic to be going on. I want the kick signal to be steady movement there, so as it will just be going this way instead of like this. So the time of the release on the signal so will not be that fast. The escape signal from the release time will not be too much. Then my signal, my kick movement will be smooth and it will still have dynamic and it can pass through through the mix, so make it sound good. This is basically what I do on the PuilgChild compressor. Now on the tube section, what I'll show you is I'll turn it all the way up. You can hear the difference on the tube emulator. So let's just listen to it again. I have to turn it on so you can hear the difference now. What that does is the tube sound like a compressor. It has a distortion and the combination of compression, softening, what makes the tube saturation. I'll also use it like a limiter in some cases. What it does there, when you listen to it, when I turn it all the way up, it squash my kick and it gives it a constant time, which I really don't love, but I just want to show you how it works, how it helps my signal. Also add energy to the transient of my signal and makes it sound real great and control the signal, make it sound good, smoothing all the frequency response of the kick. The tube saturation make it sound smooth and sound warm, and I really enjoy what it does. So that's all about, but I'm only using about 45% of it to make it sound good. The next one I'll show you is already on. I turned this one on naturally throughout the rest of my mix on all my channel, all my tracks. The console emulator, S-type, N-type, A-type. I'm using the S-type because it gives me a kind of analog console. And also, I'm using the new features on console emulator. It has SSL 4000G. Okay, the next in line is the snare drum. You can listen to the difference. Only what I try to do here is I'm just taking away the high mid, the resonance from the high mid 1.4K, close to -5 dB. That's what I do here. And I'm going to turn on the TG12345 to listen to and see what it's doing for me. when I try to turn it on, turn it off, you can hear the difference. So let me just explain to you basically what I did here. On the input gain, I cut down up to -4 dB because I don't want the signal to sound squash. I don't want it to be too compressed or be clipping or be aggressive either. That's why I bring down the signal so that I will still retain the true and clean signal into the next plugin. Another thing, the compressor that I'm using, the default setting on the whole is usually be 0. So I'm just turning it all the way to 18.3. Then my threshold is 4. So I still want the constant signal. I don't want much of the dynamic like I explained earlier on. I want the signal to still retain to be more constant. Even though there is going to be more dynamic in it, it won't just be like this, but it will be like this, it will be like this. Or the music, due to the way the music goes, I want a steady signal all through on the snare drum. So that's why I'm doing that. Then the mix, because the compressor is working like a sidechain, the mix is about 80%. I want the true signal from the snare to still come out through the console, and I still want the compression to take impact, but only that I don't allow the compression on it to take the whole control of the signal. So that's why I'm doing this. What I need to explain to you on the EQ section is, firstly, look at the output parameters, settings, the buttons, and so. On the cassette switch mode, I'm switching to DO, and on the monitor, I'm switching to mono. The reason for me doing that is I want to be able to dial into the frequency spectrum to be able to adjust, have a multi-band frequency adjustment. This is why I'm doing that. Okay, let me show you. On the EQ settings here, it's having a stereo type. So that's why. So what they did is, for you to be able to, if you like, you want to dial in deep into the frequency spectrum, want to do some adjustment. So that's why they are doing it in both sides. So you can adjust left, you can adjust right differently. If you are treating drum room or a stereo drum boss or however. So what I'm doing on the left side settings, I'm boosting high shelf EQ plus 6 dB. I'm cutting down 1.8K up to -6 dB. The low frequency, I'm leaving it on 0 dB. On the right side, I'm also boosting plus 6 dB on the high shelf EQ for me to still have a notch on the high end, the crispy tone. The high is not enough for me. I need more attack on the high end. Now I'm boosting 1.2K to have a crispy around that high mid. I'm boosting 1.2K 6 dB. On the low shelf EQ on the right side of the parameter settings, on the buttons, I'm boosting plus 6 dB on the low shelf EQ. So the reason for me doing all this is I'm leaving the left side EQ on the 0 dB. I don't want my snare low end to be punching too much. So I'm only boosting the right side. So I'm okay with that one. I'm not saying because I have the chance I can turn on the key, I can boost whatever frequency on this particular snare drum. This is what I'm doing. Because I don't want a kind of resonance that it was creating. That's why I'm just cutting down 1.8K around there and boosting 1.2K to give me a crispy and nice tone. Alright, the next line is drum room. But listen to the drum reference that I transformed to drum room. Okay, let me quickly explain to you what I did, how I'm able to transform it to drum room. First in line, let me turn everything off. Let me show you something here. This is the name of the plugin is so for the back of the dog. The amplitude here, this is the parameter I give to the amplitude. This is the natural setting. The frequency is 200 hertz. The frequency, I tweak the frequency to give me a shape of the room, the way I want the room to sound. I create a kind of the room that I want to mix with my drum. So within the 100 hertz, the thing that is giving me this, quickly listen to it, the way it sounds now. So you hear the difference now. You hear what the back of the dog is doing for me. And then the next in line, so let me turn on the EQ or the channel EQ, and you already listen to the way this sound. Now let me turn on the channel EQ. Let me introduce what I did here to create the room sound that I want for my drums. Now, okay, look at from the low mid, I'm cutting down 335 hertz. 335 hertz, that's what I'm cutting down up to 12 dB. Minus 12 dB, that's what I'm cutting down. On the high mid, I'm cutting down up to 2K, down to minus 7.3 dB, and I'm expanding the bell to create the shape that I really want. I'm cutting down the low frequency. The high pass filter I did here is 141, that's 141 hertz. Then the low pass filter, I'm cutting down up to 5.5K from the high frequency to give me a kind of hollow room. That's what my channel EQ is doing. And then the next in line is TG12345. So let's listen to the way what TG12345 does on this for me. As usual, because I want my signal to go through clean, I'm cutting down up to minus 4 dB from the input signal, and I'm using stereotype in this situation. My compressor here is in default setting, hold 0. My recovery is 2. My mix is 50%, so I can have a bit of compression on that. And on my EQ, on the high shelf, I'm only cutting down 800 hertz up to about 8 minus 8 dB is what I'm cutting down. On the low shelf EQ, nothing I'm doing. Then on the output section, I turn on the stereo parameter setting out the way up. I want to have as much as the ambience, the spread out stereo image. That's what I want there. Then as usual, my channel setting is in default setting. Here is my drive. I want a kind of driving room with distortion. It's kind of the thing I want. So on the setting end, up to 30% of the drive. So I'm going to open J37 Stereotype. This is a tape emulator. So let me play and I will turn it on and off so you hear what it's doing. So this one is adding more to my distortion. You can hear the difference. When I turn it off, it sounds a bit dull, dark, but when I turn it on, it sounds more bright and more distortive. So this is a kind of the thing, a kind of room that I want in this one. I'm using the preset. I'm not doing much on it. Probably the formula setting, the button, I just use 811 button. So I'm not doing much on this one, but I'm just using it to create as much as distortive room for me on for my drums. So the next one is my tube emulator. Listen to it and without and with it. This is without. This is with it. It brings out more of the character of the drum and make it shoot out with more distortion. I want as much as distortion that I can get in this drum room. I want us to quickly listen to the drum room and the kick and snare together. Let's listen to them together. You can hear the difference now that it make into my drum kit, what it contributes to it, make it sound full and wide and more lively to me as a complete drum kit. Alright, last but not the least, so two basic things I want to show you on the drum bus. Alright, so just simple thing that I did on the drum bus. I love using PuilgChild Program Equalizer. It's one of my favorite plugin that I love to use. On the 30 Hz, I'm boosting up to 1 dB and I'm also attenuating the frequency up to 2%, and that's what I'm doing. The reason why I'm doing that, I really don't want the low end to sound much robust or booming. Don't want much of low end. I might still have some other things to adjust in everything, even in the drums that I just show you. And I'm also considering the mastering. So that's why I want to give a moderate listening and nice good drum mix. So I'm alternating that the high bandwidth, I'm just spreading the bell, and I'm boosting up to 5 dB on 10 kilohertz. I'm switching the transformer button to 60 Hz, the humming, to color it, to give it a kind of, the warm aspect of it is what I really need on this section. Then the attenuation is in default setting. The next one I'm going to show you is PuilgChild Compressor. Listen to it again. I will turn it on and I will bypass it. You see what I'm doing. Turn it off. When I turn it on, it squash just a bit of the whole drum kit, and to give it a nice transient. I want the signal to be controlled. I don't want the way everything just go like that without having something to tame down the signal. It's not just that I just put it. I want the character of this plugin on the whole drum mix. I wanted to affect it. I want to control some other little transient. And then lastly, what I'm doing, like usual, all the parameters setting like every other one is just what I'm the same thing I'm doing on the drum bus. Listen to it again. And lastly, hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please don't forget to thumb up for me and also subscribe and press the notification button if you haven't done that before. Before we go on, I'll give thanks to vibetoolsng.com. They have been supporting these channels. So VibeTool, thank you. And if you want to learn more about my drum techniques, please kindly look up here and down here. You'll see the link there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.